All right, we're kicking off Monday with the recipe that I show you guys in every single video. This is the one that my kids are not gonna make for their kids, kind of a thing. Like, I grew up with rotisserie chicken and spaghetti so much that I never make my kids rotisserie chicken or spaghetti. We have green salsa chicken bowls probably twice a month at least. It's just so simple. And then we also sent a meal over to another family tonight, and they're a family of 6 and we're a family of 7. So this is one of those meals that's just really easy to just double, and I love to make it when we send a meal over or host people because everyone can just make it their own. And that way, like if they've got picky eaters, they can just assemble how they like. So I've got cilantro lime rice here. I've already boxed theirs up and sent theirs over. So this is just our family's portion. Cilantro lime rice. We've got some chips, green salsa, cilantro, limes, lettuce, some sour cream, jalapenos, guacamole. We have another bag of chips as well that we've already opened because, as you can tell, we munched on the guacamole throughout the evening. And then I've got some pickled red onions, which I feel like I show you guys that recipe every time I do one of these videos, because if it's not for this, I use it for like other recipes as well. I have got to crumble up our cheese here. I actually just sent this block of cheese to the other family, so I wasn't like putting my hands all over their cheese, because you kind of have to do this one with your hands. And then I'll show you the chicken. So this is what's left here after I already boxed up and sent the rest of it over. Because we're just 2 large families, I made a lot, and this is just such a good, like, cost-effective but fresh kind of a meal. I do feel like when we send meals to families, I try my best to make it a fresh one, because after you have a baby and you're like a couple weeks in and you're getting so many casseroles and things, you're ready for something fresh. So this is a good one for that. And then also for dessert, because I was assuming they probably got inundated with a bunch of dessert as well, and so for our family as well, I just got a big flat of fresh strawberries, and then I sent them some Nutella with the strawberries, and we're gonna have the same thing as like just a nice fresh sweet treat after dinner tonight. And sweet and simple after dinner dessert on a weeknight. I'm not sure why, but when I made our grocery plan this week, I have made a lot of dessert. I must have been like having a sweet tooth when I made it. So you're gonna see a lot of weeknight desserts this week, which isn't super common for us. I usually do dessert on Wednesdays and then Sundays, but it's a few more times this week for some reason. All right, it is a summery, easy type of dinner tonight. I got broccoli salad from the deli at the grocery store. And then I've just got sides here. We've got this, which Josephine got into already. And then I also made some dip to go with the chips. And John is outside on the patio with the kids making smash burgers right now. And then we're gonna have some peach cobbler, which is and some fresh whipped cream for a nice fun summer dessert to go along with the burgers and some family pool time. All right, there we go. We've got some non-toasted buns and extra patties for anybody who doesn't want a bun. Lots of smash burgers there. There's some sauce, and then all those other toppings I was showing you earlier. All right, dinner tonight is creamy lemon salmon. This is a recipe so there is this one restaurant that John and I go to a lot on our date nights, and every now and then they'll have a special, and it's this like really good creamy, or it's this like salmon in this creamy lemon sauce, and I am trying to recreate it. I found a recipe that looked very similar. I just taste tested this and it's super good. I had to triple it because I got a huge piece of salmon this week. So I cooked it in 2 different pans because it's like a pan seared recipe, but I didn't want to put 2 pans on the table, so I transferred it to this dish to serve it. But yeah, so creamy lemon salmon, and it took like tops 15 minutes to make. This is like a wild rice blend that we really like from Publix. And then I'm serving it up with green beans, and I just put some flaky salt on top. So just a really simple fish dinner tonight. Creamy lemon salmon, wild rice, and green beans. What are you doing?
Doing this.
Helping squish our cookie bars down?
Yes.
You're a good cooker.
It's so hard. I can't even do with this. Oh, it's really hard.
All right, it's a church dinner night, so we are having turkey kielbasa. I've steamed some broccoli. I've got some roast carrots and sweet potatoes here. I need to pull some sauerkraut out of the refrigerator, and then the girls and I well, the big kids and John were at church tonight, made some monster cookie bars. So this is like peanut butter, oatmeal, chocolate chip cookie bars, and these are like the Unreal chocolates. That's why they're that color. And then they came out of the oven, and I just sprinkled some flaky salt on top, and we're gonna have that for dessert. See, I told you there was a lot of dessert this week.
I'll show you. We'll try to move back to your video really quick. I'm holding the sprint and oh shoot. Oh, okay, never mind. See?
All right, it is Sunday, and we do steak on Sunday. So we've got some New York strip here. I will link the recipe down below that I've been using. Usually John makes the steaks, but he's had a couple of trips with the kids lately, so I had to learn on Sundays. I still, excuse me, I still did steaks for the younger kids and I, even when John was gone. I felt like I wanted to honor our Sunday tradition. So we've got New York strips here. I made a bunch of baked potatoes. They were not stacked like this when I was baking. I just stacked them on the same pan to serve them, but I wanted to do baked potatoes for the kids one day this week for like a lunch snacky tray option. So baked potatoes, New York strip, and then a cucumber, tomato, avocado salad. I will also link this recipe down below. I'm trying to do different salads this summer instead of just the same garden salad every single night. So that is dinner this Sunday night. All right, this is a use up the drawer kind of a dinner tonight. I've got a bunch of rainbow carrots I ended up not using for lunches this week, and then I've got, oh, let me see. Josephine, you are so strong. And then I've got some onion I could use up and some celery, so I just decided, and then I also had like a third of a bag of that wild rice. So I just decided to do a creamy chicken and wild rice soup tonight. All right, this is the perfect rainy day soup recipe. Whoopsies. We live in Florida, so it's never soup season, or it's always soup season, depending on how you look at it. Because there's never a soup season, we just have soup all year. This recipe was literally the perfect recipe to use after making that salmon this week, because it used a lot of the ingredients that I don't usually have. I don't buy lemons a ton unless I'm baking something, and so I did go to Sam's Club this week, and so I got lemons and a big thing of whipping cream and a bunch of extra veggies, and what was the other thing that I used in this recipe that I don't usually use? Let me think about that for a second. It was, oh, the wild rice. And so, the wild rice I get at Publix, but this used the rest of the wild rice after the salmon that I made. It used the rest of my carton of whipping cream, and it used a lemon, the zest of the lemon at the end, which was great because I happen to have a whole bag of lemons, and so I needed to use up the last couple. So creamy chicken and wild rice soup, I doubled the recipe. I'll link it below. It's so good. And then I also milled some wheat and did some rolls. It's a little bit of a later dinner, so I found myself with some extra time this evening while I was waiting for John and the kids to come home from a sports meeting. So did some fresh rolls to go on the side there. So creamy chicken and wild rice soup, fresh rolls, added some extra veggies into the soup that I just wanted to get rid of in the refrigerator, and easy peasy weeknight meal.
How could God allow this, you know? Yeah. How do these people fit into God's plan?
Unfreeze.
You know, and he...
Okay, so I don't typically do salmon twice in like 10 days, but it was a really good price the last couple weeks at the store, so I've gotten it twice in the last 2 grocery trips. So this is like a 3-pound, 3.5-pound salmon fillet, and I tried to do it differently this time. I did blackened instead of that yummy creamy lemon salmon I did last week. So I will put the recipe for the blackening seasoning down below. And then I also did a big batch of Brussels sprouts. Whatever doesn't get eaten will just be used in like breakfast scrambles this week or something. This is where like full transparency comes in. I was gonna do either rice or the whole wheat rolls that I showed the other day again, but I just had a long afternoon with my littlest one who's just needed mom today. and then my teenagers who needed a lot of carpooling today. And so I'm really wiped out. And right as I was working on dinner, my littlest one got really tired, and I just had to hold her. And actually John and the kids are not home right now. They'll be home in a few minutes, but I actually almost burned dinner because, you know, when you're in like that survival mode moment of parenting, like the witching hour kind of a thing, and you just know it's as easy as setting the kid down and pulling dinner out of the oven, but it just feels too hard. My heart couldn't handle a meltdown if I set her down to pull dinner out. So I just held her and I was like, okay, God, please don't let dinner burn. I've got to hold her until she's calm. And so thankfully it didn't burn, but I think we're pretty close here to on the verge of burning. Anywho, maybe just spent too much time out in the sun today and she's wiped out. So if anybody wants a carb on the side, I'm just gonna eat salmon and Brussels sprouts. But if anybody wants a carb, they can grab a piece of bread and butter it up, because that's just the kind of day. Or maybe I'll throw I've got a bunch of fresh berries I might just throw out on the table. Anyway, so yeah, blackened salmon and Brussels sprouts, and that's all she wrote. All right, John's cooking up fajitas on the Blackstone tonight. All right, and then we've just got some simple toppings in here, some watermelon that Josephine insisted we cut up for breakfast this morning, so we have so much of that left over. I was gonna do rice and beans on the side, but we had a ton of watermelons, so that made it easy. Some chips and guac, which everyone has already been enjoying. Just made that fresh guac in, I actually just used my Vitamix. That's why it's not like chunky. Limes, cheese, sour cream, and I just need to cut up some cilantro. And yeah, just some quick fajitas for dinner tonight. All right, Friday night pizza is served. We've got sausage, cheese, some buffalo wings, some honey hot wings, some veggies, and all the fruit has gone missing. Was this treated like an appetizer platter, guys? Yeah. Yeah, and then I made some homemade blue cheese dressing too, so I'll link that recipe down below. Dinner, and Ollie Pops all around, right?
Yep.